was confident in Bill.
I'm going to kill that. Taylor's been grooving to the countdown. What's going on, buddy?
That was pretty nice. I like that. I got lost in the music a little bit,
Yeah.
But it did scare me. I had my headphones all the way up. Maybe that's why I didn't hear you for a second.
Yeah.
No, I dig that.
No problem. Anyway, we're here. We're hanging out. Patriots Press Pass, soon to be called Patriots Daily. We'll tell you more about that later. But really, right now, we have a developing situation, so to speak. And again, everything everyone's going to talk about here, I know how this conversation is going to go. It is what it is. Report coming out today regarding Bill Belichick and Mac Jones and situations there that we will absolutely get into and discuss, here on the show. Offer some perspective, what we know, what others are saying. Want to let you know, again, this show, as always, brought to you by FanDuel, exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. Sign up, get $200 in bonus bets when you place your first bet or your first $5 bet. A $10 deposit is required. So this was a story that came out from Mike Florio. Pro Football Talk came out today and has kind of started to stir some S, and also, gotten, certain people to kind of rally the troops in and around and, deflect and defend. And, that's what we do. People who, are, haters, so to speak, or the people who are, anti-Mac might be like, see, I told you this guy stinks. Bill wants him out. And then the defend the wall, people are going to be shouting fake news. I don't think that that's necessarily the most important part of what's going on here, whether or not this story is real or not. We're going to talk about it, react to it, get Taylor's take. And again, like I said, tell you about some other things that are going on. But my overarching kind of vibe and concern and the way I'm looking at this right now, Taylor, is the dysfunction last year that was on the field and was caused by Bill Belichick for the coaches that he's put on there. Now the dysfunction seems to be going between Belichick and ownership. And there's something off there, and it's been going on since before the owners' meetings. Kind of came to a little bit of a head at the owners' meetings, in Arizona a couple of weeks ago or last week. So just your take when you first kind of saw the report flash that, okay, he's been shopping Mac Jones.
So just to make sure that we put the report in proper context, of course, the idea is that, one, like, to say that someone was shopped around could, we talked about this. It could be as simple as, literally Josh McDaniels called like around the time that they were thinking about signing Jimmy G. And they were like, what would Matt cost if we wanted to get him? Like, it could be as small as that, nothing nefarious. And Bill was like, well, we want a lot. And the Raiders said they didn't want it, et cetera, et cetera. But still, it is concerning that after Bill put Mac in a very strange position last year, where even Robert Kraft said that he felt bad for Matt Patricia because the structure of the coaching staff just didn't make sense. Beyond that, after putting Mac in that situation, and it obviously going poorly, Mac, reports say he reached out to coaches at Alabama, was trying to find a solution. And Bill wasn't happy about that. Of course, he likes to keep things in-house. He really doesn't even like outside coaches, position coaches and personal coaches and things like that to interfere during the season. So I understand why Bill would be upset. But at the same time, I feel like I don't want to say there's arrogance because I don't know exactly how he feels. But to be angry at Mac, who's a young player who was, again, in a really tough situation and just trying to make it work, and like hold this against him, and it feels like you want to light a fire, but what exactly was he doing that was so bad that he needs to be put in check and on notice? And again, I'm not in the building. Maybe it was as bad as some reports say, where Mac, some people say that he had a maturity issue, where it was just a legitimate point of contention. And maybe that's true. And Bill is saying, okay, we need someone with maybe more maturity, or I don't know. But it's not encouraging when you thought they were going in the right direction with, they bolster the coaching staff, special teams and offense. They get a few more weapons. Okay, the offense is going in a good direction and they're helping Mac. And then you get the comments from Kraft at the meetings about Lamar Jackson. Bill Belichick won't commit to him. And now this, it's definitely very strange. And
there's a lot.
It starts to turn the ship when we're going in a pretty solid direction.
So that's what's weird, is it's strange. And I have my theories for what's going on, and I'll share them as kind of the show goes on. But, right now, I do want to be careful here because, again, there is always an instinct for certain reporters to kind of circle the wagons, go in there. Is this true? What's going on? X, Y, and Z. I know that in this report, it was mentioned that it's knowledge of a situation. Belichick has shopped Jones to multiple teams during the 23 offseason. Now, here's the next line. And again, the wording of it matters. The full list of potential destinations isn't known, okay? The teams mentioned as potential destinations were the Raiders, Texans, Bucks, and Commanders. Okay, just to put it into proper context, I know there's people out there saying, I talked to these guys and they said they didn't, and these guys said they didn't. Look, you have to look at everything both ways. One, this report's clearly stating it's not really known, but here's some teams that have been floated in the past. Two, any of these teams with a current quarterback situation stand to gain absolutely zero by confirming to outside media that, yes, they wanted to trade for another quarterback, because each of these teams is going to try to sell to their own team and their own quarterback why their shitty quarterback is the starting quarterback to start the season. So why in the world would anybody openly be like, oh, totally, I tried for Mac because I think Jimmy sucks or Purdy sucks? They're not going to do that. So you got to take those reports that are batting away the rumors with a grain of salt as well. I'm not diving all in. The denials are obvious. Anybody in Foxborough who didn't where this report didn't emanate from is also going to deny knowledge of anything like this. So the denials mean very little. That's what people do, especially if they're caught or especially if they just don't want you to know the truth. It's very easy to be like, that's crazy. I never called about that. You saw the Celtics in this situation with Jaylen Brown and the trouble that they've got into with situations like that. Like, they're not going to come out and be like, dude, we totally offered Jaylen for Durant. We'd be dumb not to. So again, I'm not putting any stock in any of the reporting that's going to beat back the rumors themselves. The bigger issue for me that I believe is the issue is something stinky is kind of emanating from those walls, and you're trying to get a picture on what it is, and it's not fair to just flat out say it's this or it's that. But I mean, this is kind of what we're here to do and talk about what's going on in addition to this report about the trade, which everyone will focus on like crazy. The other report that kind of came out also from the PFT universe, with Chris Sims earlier, but that was doubled down on by Tom Curran, emphatically yesterday. And we're talking about NBC's Tom Curran, not a bomb thrower, a well-sourced guy, not somebody who talks out of school, openly saying Belichick is still pissed at Mac Jones for what the report had said, going outside the building seeking advice. And the advice he was seeking is, this coach saddled me with these crap-ass coordinators and the offense is a mess. What do I do? And that allegedly really pissed off Belichick, again, according to Curran, and it's still lingering. And evidence of Belichick not being super, super happy with Mac Jones is not hard to find right now.
Yeah, and again, it makes sense, especially considering Bill set up a really bad structure. So I'm sure that anytime it was questioned, it only made it worse that you have these guys again. And like Kraft mentioned that he felt bad for Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia works very hard. I'm sure Joe Judge works hard as well. He was promoted to assistant head coach. These guys clearly were working very hard, and by Matt going outside, it undermined their authority. It also made Belichick look bad because, again, it's reflective of him. As he said in the beginning of last season, anything that happens this season is a reflection on me. In season, when you're trying to make these things work, I'm sure your second-year quarterback going behind your back, and, Nick Saban's probably the one who went and told him, I'm sure just on a human level, these are not things that make that kind of situation one that, it's easy to work with, especially, he's, as we've spoken about, he's getting pressure from Kraft as well, because they at times don't necessarily seem to be on the same page. And this is an organization that is notoriously tight-lipped, keeps things in-house, yada, yada, yada. And there's been a lot of these things seeping out the past couple of years. So, I don't know. It's if he still feels that way, there's a part of me that I feel like Belichick is more mature than that. And would understand that just holding feelings from just a really bad situation, again, that he created last season into this year, as an outside observer, that just seems kind of weird. And not productive. But again, if he thinks that Mac Jones also, exhibited some kind of behavior where he needed to send a message, then like I've talked about in one of our other shows, like he comes from the Bill Parcells tree of there's a lot of, psychological manipulation when it comes to what you tell the media and how that reflects on what a player's hearing without you necessarily telling them. So, we could, this is just one of those things we could speculate about all day. But as you said, you can't ignore it. The reports are out there. This isn't an organization where these kinds of things typically happen. So you've got to acknowledge the smoke and, just be cautiously observant, I guess.
Right. Why is there smoke? Where is it coming from? Where, and so right now, for whatever reason, somebody is, for lack of a better word, it's kind of an open character assassination on Mac Jones, and it's been going on for a while. And we do know it's been well documented through a lot of different reporting. Andrew Callahan obviously had a terrific report in the offseason talking about the level of dysfunction, but it turned into the reason it's a huge thing, bigger thing than any of us knew, is it was kind of the first whiff that people thought Bill was, I wouldn't say losing it, but that Bill had done something that was totally inexcusable. Putting everybody in the offense in that position, which again, the Callahan report and every piece of reporting that's followed, it kind of gets worse. And now you've got people maybe who were with the organization last year and aren't now, who are openly just saying we couldn't freaking believe it. This had no chance of succeeding. These guys were clueless and Bill let it happen. He just let it happen to us. I don't understand it at all. And that's a big deal. Because again, the thing with Bill was always, if you just do what I tell you, we're going to be fine. It's a one time it didn't work for him. And it didn't work in a way that was bordering on hubris, which is, I'm not acknowledging it and I'm not going to change it. This is it. And the problems were there, and I just lost Taylor. The problems were there early on, and I'm not really sure, why it wasn't addressed sooner than it was. While we wait on Taylor to get back, I want to kind of circle around a couple of things. The reports are, as we've said, Mac Jones allegedly offered around by the Patriots and in a deal, shopped, I guess was the word that was put out there, shopped by the Patriots by Bill Belichick to various teams, a report in Pro Football Talk today. The other report, and we were just talking about, is this is something that was reported earlier in the year as well, but that there's been friction between Belichick and Mac for a lot of things. Among them were some of the histrionics that Mac would do on the sideline when things weren't working out and calling out coaches X, Y, and Z. But the other is that he sought advice outside of the building, and that's really chafed Bill. As I was saying before Taylor popped off, one of the things that, as we said, that there's a lot of people in Foxborough that really are shocked that Bill kind of let them flail and let them, go like that right now. And rather than a full mea culpa, I think there's a little bit of resentment from Bill, which is man, you guys really acted like children last year while this was going on. Give me a little bit of slack, give me a little bit of rope here. But no, the hits just keep coming. Even Kraft is saying it, it was a terrible, unfortunate situation and all of these things. So, I think Bill, for the first time ever, just basically had everybody say, dude, it was, you did this. What's wrong with you? It's your fault, and that's not a place he's comfortable being.
And I do wonder, in hindsight, I feel like Nick Caley was the obvious choice at the time to become the new offensive coordinator last season, and he kind of passed him by. But there's a degree to, I'm curious how much advance notice he had that not only was McDaniels going to leave, but that he was going to take as many coaches as he did. Because I think Caley not being promoted was definitely strange, and he obviously left for the same position on the Rams that he had here, essentially. But I don't know. It just seemed like he was hurriedly kind of putting pieces together. Again, with two of his coordinators who won championships. Yes, there was a level of hubris, and it was, as we know now, completely unrealistic to expect Matt Patricia to be able to completely change sides of the ball as a coordinator with such a big role, while also supposed to be the offensive line coach. And then obviously Joe Judge being quarterbacks. Mac didn't get along, et cetera, et cetera. But I do wonder how much more Bill could have done, considering, like, it's kind of glossed over now. It's kind of like people mention it, but I feel like the gravity of McDaniels grabbing as many people as he did, what the impact that must have had for Belichick. Like, you don't really have a plan to lose that many coaches in 1 year. So I don't know. That's one thing I feel like we don't necessarily talk about. Yes, Bill screwed it up, and I'm not trying to defend him. But again, other than promoting Nick Haley, and we don't know how he felt about him personally, I don't really know what else he could have done or how much better the situation could have been. But, that's just me kind of thinking out loud.
No, and again, just a lot of it comes down to just Bill and the way he wants to do things and the way he, has kind of insisted on doing things over
In-house.
time.
It's all in-house.
Yeah. In-house, people who are loyal to me, people who stay. And this is one of the things Curran pointed out. Disloyalty to him is worse than a bad play on the field. And what bothers him more.
Remember the documentary with him and Saban, where they like talk about poaching and everything like that, and you could feel the tension where they were like, "Don't you like? We do not take each other's people."
Yeah, you don't take my guys, but also like just viewing what Mac Jones did as disloyal last year, of kind of like speaking out, to echo kind of a famous Godfather line, never tell anyone outside the family what you're thinking again. Like, what are you doing? And that's clearly what happened in this situation. That's irked Bill. Is it to the point that he's willing to burn it all down, though? That's what I don't fully understand. Allowing this narrative to spiral out of control. Again, Bill Belichick is always one that kind of like, him not squashing stuff is breathing life into them. Like, not saying Mac Jones is your quarterback. You can sit there and say, well, in your next press conference when Mac is the starter, people are going to say what they want to say, and I can't control the narrative. Yeah, you actually can control the narrative. That's the thing, though. If you had just said Mac unequivocally is our starting quarterback, and honestly, I think this is going to be a great year for him. I think he and Billy O are going to play. That, how hard is that to say? These are the type of like general platitudes get thrown out in the preseason by everybody. We're really pumped about Mac Jones this year. He had it was an up and down year last year. Things weren't consistent. We're pretty confident this year with the direction that we're going. Some of the pieces we've added, and obviously bringing in Billy O, we're going to take big strides forward. We're going to see a lot of stuff going on. That's so easy to say, but he won't do it for whatever reason. And he's allowing saying everyone's going to compete for the job. And again, here's the one place Belichick isn't as smart as he thinks he is. He doesn't recognize when he contradicts himself. With his 25 years comment as a guy who's Mr. On to Cincinnati, that literally goes against his entire ethos of never living in the past. What happened yesterday doesn't matter. It's today and the future is all that matters. Not realizing how that one's going to land. Also not realizing when he's openly, clearly endorsed other quarterbacks in the past when faced with quarterback controversy questions. Brady's including my guy. Laughing at that. Cam Newton's my guy. I don't want to talk about it. It's a dead issue. And then to not do it with Mac, you're basically outing yourself, because history has shown how you normally answer something like this. So he's just continuing to breathe life into this. And you wonder how much of it has to do with kind of the smackdown he got from up above. It feels a little bit like a pouting session.
Yeah, I think so. And I just think it's something you got to take at face value, because, like you said, he is openly contradicting himself. And he has in the past stated that Mac was the starter. And since midseason last year, or like kind of early midseason last year, that stopped and he started to get a little more wishy-washy. I think really it's just him trying to send a message and him saying that no, Mac isn't the guy because of temperament, not because of talent. Like, that's the thing. The whole idea of moving on from Mac, realistically, you do not want Bailey Zappi to be your starter for 17 games. Like, it's nothing against Zappi. It's not where he is in his career. His skill set, I don't think, is the kind of is at the caliber to which you want him starting all of your games. Mac is clearly the more talented player, but Bill does like his ship run a certain way, and Mac hasn't proven that he can kind of bite back or be a more vocal presence, clearly, just based on the reports and everything that we have heard and seen from Bill and from outside sources. So, I don't know. I really do think we have to take it at face value, and it's not going to get any better until they get on the practice field, we see Mac leading the ship with an improved offensive performance where they're actually competing with the defense, which will be a good barometer because this is the defense that's coming back that knows them. We'll actually get a really good feel, I think, at training camp. So, these are this is gonna continue to be a narrative until they perform on the field, and we'll just see how much worse it gets until then.
Yeah, I want to address a comment here because we did bring this up earlier. Santi here. Did we see the update from Mark Daniels? Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Look, again, just to clarify, the report does not specifically say those were the teams. It said those are teams that have been mentioned, just kind of in a very general, broad way. Second, as we pointed out, no team has there's no benefit to any team confirming trade rumors involving a quarterback when they currently have quarterbacks that are presumably going to start for them when the regular season rolls around, because that's going to cause a shit show over there as well. So again, denials coming from other organizations regarding this makes sense. One, you're never going to tip your hand publicly. Two, you stand to gain absolutely nothing from disparaging your current quarterback by saying that you're shopping for another one potentially. So again, take all of that with a grain of salt. And again, what Taylor said at the top of the show, shopping could mean a lot of things. And the shopping could mean you do your due diligence, somebody calls, you talk about it. Yeah, no, we're good. But yeah, thanks for checking in. It could mean a lot. Whether they're basically like, does anyone want to take this loser off my hands because I desperately want another quarterback? I don't think that happened. I think the very fact that you saw that the Patriots were not super aggressive. They didn't kick the tires on Jimmy Garoppolo per se, or any of the people who could have been had out there on the kind of cheap. I don't know whether they're tied to any quarterbacks, nor do they think they can get one of the top blue chip quarterbacks from pick 14. Obviously, anything could happen. Anything could change. And in fact, one NFL.com writer, and let me see who it was, Lance Zierlein, wrote that this is the draft that's going to get me kicked out of all draft circles. Placed Richardson to the Patriots at 14, and that's obviously fun and a good talker, and it's going to cause a stir. I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying. I'm just. I just think. I don't read this as Bill is genuinely trying to replace Mac. I really do. It just, to me, this reads like he is lighting a fire. Plus, Mike Reese said it, and his word is Bible. But on top, so I think that the idea of bringing another quarterback in, it's one thing to have Bailey Zappi on the roster, because Bailey Zappi was on the field, had success. Like, even you can disagree with the quality of it, but Bill can always say, hey, Zappi was on the field. He had one bad game, and he had three where, we looked really good as an offense. Yes, I can lean on him because he's already on the team. But going outside of that and adding someone, I just don't think that's a step that Bill would take, because that is openly being like, if it's a mid-round prospect who's just a body, that's just, a smart investment. But I feel like a guy in the first round that's doing a lot, and that creates a weird situation like they had with Cam Newton and Mac, where they cut Cam because they were like, this is just going to make a bad locker room situation. People aren't going to know who to look towards. And, if you use 14 on a quarterback or you move up for one, that I think creates an awkward situation that I don't think is what they're trying to do with Mac's development.
I don't think they do. But what I will say to the contrary is, if Bill deep down doesn't believe Mac is anything special, and he literally is, like, it's Mac, it's Zappi, it's fine. Neither one of them is a needle mover. And honestly, I think I could probably do roughly the same with both guys. If that's his true belief, there really isn't as much a need to pump him up outside of the investment you made, the capital investment of using a first round pick, which sometimes is reason enough. Also, you don't want to destroy an asset, but Bill's never really worried as much about that or returns off of things. If he's done with Mac, he's done with Mac, and that's it. That's the ball game. He's always gotten to do things the way he's got to do it. And look what's going on in San Francisco right now. Brock Purdy's probably going to start over Trey Lance. These guys are drafted in the same draft. There's a determination made inside the building that I don't think this guy's it. Whether or not people agree with it, Trey Lance might be the third string quarterback in San Francisco to start this year, which is insane to think about. So people get hung up on draft capital, but he was a first round pick. That's all fine and good. That means the expectations are higher.
Yeah, he was just also in a different stratosphere where I'm not shocked that his career has gone this way because of the injuries. He was always a project, but he worked hard, and it's like you're hoping he gets the field and he can build on it, but he's never gotten a chance to
All
actually
I'm
put anything
saying is
together. I'm not saying you're
not
wrong,
the
but
same.
it's different
It's the
situations. Yeah.
same situation. All I'm saying is once the determination has been made for whatever reason, you just move on. You don't have time to dwell. Like if they've determined that Mac's not our guy, we took a shot and that's fine. That happens. Go comb through recent drafts and find me first round quarterbacks that flamed out in a couple years, or 2 or 3 years, and you're going to find way more than hit. It just is what it is. It's a reality. We do want to tell you a little bit about FanDuel. We like FanDuel, right?
We love FanDuel.
Yeah. Over here, there's a lot going on as far as the FanDuel universe is concerned, and now really starting to kind of focus in on sports specific stuff. It's near the end of basketball season. That's something. Baseball season has kicked up. That's something too, right?
That's
You a baseball
huge.
guy?
When I'm physically at a game, I love baseball when I'm there. I love the vibe.
Yeah,
Good energy.
that's about it. But yeah, I think
It's
that
not ADHD friendly on TV.
but sometimes you just kind of leave it on in the background,
That's true.
and it works for you. But we'll tell you a little bit about what's going on with baseball. Grand slams, no hitters, double plays back. No better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, official partner of Major League Baseball. New customers in mass get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Go to FanDuel.com/Boston. Bet on all your favorite sports, from the money line to point spreads, player props, and more. An app that's safe, secure, super easy to use. Don't miss your chance to get $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. FanDuel.com/Boston. Make every moment more. Once again, FanDuel, the official partner of Major League Baseball. We do need to tell you, you must be 21 or older and present in Massachusetts to participate. $10 initial deposit is required. Your first online bet must be a real money wager. Bonuses are issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Hope is here. Go to gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start. Go to gamesensema.com or call 1-800-GAM-1234. So my overall theory, 1, 2, 3, 4. My overall theory on what's kind of going on here is this. Bill's really been boxed in. First time in his life, he's still got free reign. He gets to his parcel, said shop for the groceries. He makes all personnel decisions, but for the first time ever, he's been leveraged. His successor is in the building. Okay. He brought in Bill O'Brien and was told, you must give him this job. This is the first time he's ever been strong-armed a little bit. No, we are not letting Gerard walk and get a different job. Gerard is here, and I want him to be here. And you're going to announce to the world that Gerard is going to remain here. You're going to take full responsibility for the debacle that you caused last year, and you're going to publicly put out a statement saying all of these things, whether or not you're ready to, and there you go. So, again, something you talk about Bill versus Bill. Bill has never, ever, ever put out a statement like the one that the Patriots put out regarding Mayo and his role prominent role. I lost Taylor again. In the organization. And the same thing with Billy O. There he is. That's never happened. And since then, on top of that, and again, you have Kraft kind of just continuing to kind of, drop the hammer on Bill in terms of, what he's got to do, and he's got to win in X, Y, and Z. You have endorsement of Mac Jones. You have that little Lamar Jackson slip up at the owners' meetings. And then Kraft is, and Kraft, like I said, publicly showing support for Lamar, and also saying that Gerard Mayo is a strong candidate to be the heir apparent to Belichick. Said this in an interview with Judy Batista over at NFL. Those are strong, strong words. For the first time ever, Bill knows, like, I can't huff and puff. If I kind of throw, like, they could get rid of me today. Like, they're not screwed that we're deep into the offseason. The next head coach is in the building right now. It's Gerard Mayo. He doesn't have a job title. He's just sitting there. I don't know that Bill loves all of this. And I feel like this is a little bit of kind of defiance, so to speak, right now. I think he still comes into line. I think he still does what he's got to do. I think his ego is not gonna. But I mean, there's a lot about what's going on here that makes us feel like this is the last year of a crappy marriage that's been over for a while, and they're just kind of gritting it until the kids go off to college. Gritting their teeth and just trying to see it through. That's the general vibe I've got from what's going on in Foxborough right now. It seems petty and small. It's just weird. It's so unpatriot like what's going on here.
It is. This is not my territory, but
I know.
obviously, but obviously it is messy. It's objectively messy, which is the point of all this. Like, as much as I don't like to speculate, it's still very obvious that something is wrong, because I don't necessarily think it's strong arming, but I think that I think Belichick is part of the succession plan. I think he's instrumental. I think he is trying to set the organization up to have success without him whenever that happens. I'm sure that he is not realistically thinking that he will definitely be the coach past this season. One, just age, he's still a person. But beyond that, I'm sure he understands that if the water's ever been hot, it's starting to bubble a little bit. I'm not going to say he's on the hot seat, but if this is another season where you're under 10 wins, then yeah, discussions need to be had. And if you miss the playoffs, Kraft has been very vocal about the fact that he's not happy about the fact they've missed the playoffs. What is it, 2 out of the past 3 years? So yeah, it's not, obviously it's not a great situation, but winning cures all. If they end up being successful and they finally get, say, Flowers, who's going to visit, very exciting news. If it comes together and they win games, and we're going to be laughing about this and we're going to feel really silly. If it doesn't go well, then all of these things that we're speculating about could very well come to fruition, and then those conversations can be had then.
They can. You just kind of want the grown-ups to kind of come back in the room here a little bit, because again, going back to the situation, Bill can squash this anytime he wants, but he's not going to talk until he's mandated to speak again. And this stuff's just going to linger and it's going to fester. If he wanted to squash it, he would. So somebody wants this out there, all of this stuff that's going on there, and it's detrimental to the general cause. Because if there's one thing that we need, or that the Patriots need and fans want to see, it's be functional.
And you'd like to see them have the same, it's still a business. So if you think about it that way, you'd like everyone to have the same message, be on the same page, which is usually what you expect from the Patriots. You either say the same things or you say nothing at all, unless, again, a message is trying to be sent. So you got to read the tea leaves to some degree. It's not something that can be ignored, but, also I would say temper speculation, but also, use critical thinking and keep your caps on, because this is not normal for their organization.
Yeah. And again, thank you guys for joining us middle of the afternoon here. And again, is this heartbreaking news? No. Is this something that is interesting? To some. Could it continue to be an issue? Definitely. Could this be completely forgotten? Much ado about nothing when the pads go on and everybody starts playing actual football? More than likely, I think stuff has its way of sorting itself out. But again, you never put it past Bill to do something unexpected. I think people tend to think that the predictable aspect of Bill Belichick is that, he's always going to trade down. He's never going to do the splashy thing until he trades up or until he does the splashy thing.
I hope he trades down several times.
I know you do.
Get that value.
But again, for those of you watching, tuning in for the first time, Patriots Press Pass, we are part of CLNS Media Network. Taylor Kyle's the beat reporter here, covering the Patriots. We'll be down in Foxborough all season long, checking it out. You can check out all of Taylor's stuff, including a lot of cool draft coverage at clnsmedia.com and a bunch of different videos and profiles that we're doing, starting out with a perfect Patriots series, some guys who could really look good in Foxborough. We're going to talk a little bit about that. as well. And there's a bunch of people visiting Foxborough, Jordan Addison being one of them, supposedly today, possibly tomorrow. I'd seen Zay Flowers also coming in. Ding, 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 ding. Taylor's Binky, one of his guys that he really wants to see. I'm not going to lie. I'm a big Zay guy also. And I really do.
Who is it? Haters.
I really do believe at least 2 receivers are off the board by the time the Patriots pick at 14. I don't think they're going to get to be as choosy as they want. And I do think that a lot of players
Who do you think
might be.
2 is? Who do you think 2 is going to be? Who do you think
I don't know.
Be?
I could see Ohio State, I could see a lot of things, I wouldn't shock me.
Fair enough, man. All right, I hope so. I hope Zay is available at 20. That's what I'm hoping for. Dream scenario.
I've seen Addison everywhere from 12 to 38.
Addison's gonna go day 2. I think.
Man, he glitched out again. But yeah. Again, there's a lot of fun draft stuff. And I think that's going to be the fun stuff to talk about in the coming days. Again, I was really surprised to see this.
That talk was getting too spicy. They tried to shut us down.
I was really surprised to see this report to begin with, but again, nothing would surprise me here. And again, it's some interesting thoughts on Mac Jones here. I don't know if we're in bust territory yet. I know Taylor's going to be one of his.
You can't judge what a player is until year 3. You absolutely cannot judge until year 3. If he's bad this season, I don't think it's fair to call him a bust, but say what you want, but it's way too early for that.
Say what you want. We're going to wrap it up here, but I do want to, like I said, urge you to kind of head over and check out some of our stuff over at clnsmedia.com. Anybody has any questions here in the last couple of minutes pertaining to this particular situation, that's fine. But again, report that, let's run through it one more time. Report that Bill Belichick has shopped Mac Jones this offseason, coming from Mike Florio at PFT, and that something from Tom Curran yesterday that Bill Belichick's harboring a little bit of resentment towards Mac Jones for some of the stuff that he's done, seeking outside help in the offseason, some of the histrionics on the sideline. We'll see if it turns into anything at this point. I'm not sure. Taylor, any final thoughts?
I need them to get their stuff together. That's it. Keep stuff in the house. As fun as it was to, get some transparency from them for a while, I would like them to, zip it up. You don't need to know all your business.
And that was the other one. When I was talking about kind of Bill going on his little bit of like, I'm going to hold my breath or take my ball and go home. Since he was asked to kind of make that statement, he has refused to endorse Mac as his quarterback, refused to tell you what Bill O'Brien's actual job title is going to be, refused to tell you what Gerard Mayo's actual job title is going to be. But we find out that, oh, wow, such a surprise. What's the one thing we found out? Joe Judge is the assistant head coach. The poster child for last year's dysfunction somehow is elevated to the role of assistant head coach. And a lot of the stuff we talked about when that first came out, Taylor, about this seems like it's just ceremonial and he's more of assistant to the Greg Bedard and a couple of others have said that's not the case. He's the assistant head coach of this team. You think that's what Kraft wanted? I can't believe that he would have wanted that to happen when you've got Bill O'Brien and Gerard Mayo in the building, handpicked, told basically get this guy, keep that guy, and you just slid somebody in front of them on the org chart who was literally the most reviled person in the building last year, and who Mac Jones hated. That guy's the assistant head coach. I mean, come on. What
head coaches have their own office far away from everybody else. This is a strategic move.
I'm
sorry about my Brockton Wi-Fi. It's actually it's LA Wi-Fi, which is even worse.
But we'll get him over here. We'll get him to Brockton and then see what happens,
Maybe we'll improve.
I'm sure he'll be moving somewhere close to Foxborough, make it easy to get to the stadium. But all of that stuff is just odd. And then not endorsing Mac, I just, it feels like a little bit of like, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not doing it. Nope. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. So we'll see. But anyway, thank you guys for hanging out. Check out all of our stuff. And we will check you guys out probably later in the week. Hopefully we'll have some other non-drama, non-palace intrigue sort of topics to talk about, perhaps pertaining to some of the some of the hold on one second. I'm checking out a breaking news potential, but I don't think so.
Where did you see that?
Nowhere.
No.
Nope, nowhere. Just wanted to
I
make sure I
mean,
didn't want to jump off the air if something did happen. Somebody mentioned a Hopkins thing, but there's nothing there. There's been like talk, but unsubstantiated talk of a potential release, but I don't see that happening either. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. We'll catch you guys on the flip side here at Patriots Press Pass. Last time we'll tell you, sign up fanduel.com/Boston. You want to get in on some betting action here. Is Bill going to be the coach on opening day? Is Matt going to be the quarterback? I don't know. Might find odds there if you feel strongly about it. FanDuel.com/Boston, 200 bonus bets when you place your first bet. Check it out. For Taylor Kyles, I'm